Hey, howdy. So technology is upgraded. A user by the name of JR Tosmic in the comments showed me to a Risk of Rain loadout generator that they made on GitHub. Or that they made and put up on GitHub. And I think I'm going to be using that going forward because the UI is a lot cleaner than me just running code directly in VS Code. There we go. It looks nice. I have it... Normally it's off to the side, but I have it centered because it's just a blank screen. It's just a blank web page otherwise. And I guess we hit random loadout and see what we get. There's also a daily build, which I might want to start doing, but let me just do a random loadout to see what it gives. That's debris shield. Okay, that's just the generic, okay. And sometimes it bugs out a little bit. I think GitHub is just having a bad day. Because I tried to load this earlier and it brought up the, oh no, unicorns have invaded and GitHub is down right now. So I think it's just GitHub being weird. So what we got? It was loader with, I don't have that skin. I imagine that's probably the prismatic skin. It's either the prismatic skin or the Providence Trials skin. Bullet punch, debris shield, and the regular conduit. Hang on, let me hide the page so that you guys can actually see me doing it. And artifacts, we got kin, distortion, and prestige. Oh, this ought to be good. And I guess I picked the difficulty. You know what? I think Monsoon with this difficulty. Because Kin is going to make Loader's V really, really, really strong. And then turn off the double damage. I don't know why I had that on. I think that was when I was recording the footage for the funny Loader montage, which, by the way, for those of you that haven't seen that, that was hilarious, and I had a lot of fun making that. Okay, so jellyfish are one of the only enemies that I can't really cheese with pylons. But speaking of things that I can cheese with pylons, let's see if this works. It does, awesome. Jellyfish as a loader is just... It's a weird enemy to fight. But I forget if I mentioned it in any other videos. I'm probably going to talk about it when I do Tukey later today. Or Yik, or whatever. The Game Awards were recently. They were... what, yesterday, day before? And I originally didn't watch it because, you know, it's like watching the Oscars. It's like watching the Oscars, except there are also game reveals. And God knows I don't want to watch the Oscars. Because I know some people say that it's grandstanding now. It was grandstanding back then, too. It's just people didn't care about it as much. Or people cared about it more, I should say. But with the Game Awards, there were actually a lot of really good announcements. And one of them literally made me start crying. Uh-oh. Okay, that's actually really bad. I have no other way to deal damage besides the hydraulic gauntlet. Okay, let me see if I can get an item that does passive damage or something. Come on. Squibs, I'll take it. I guess I think I just... I'm definitely doing Challenge the Mountain because it's prestige. May as well play into the bit as much as I can. But there were some really good announcements, like Pony Island 2 from Daniel Mullins, which is going to be awesome. I'll always vouch for Daniel Mullins, especially after Inscription, but I also quite liked Pony Island. It wasn't my favorite game, but the aesthetics is very cool. And I have not played the Hex, but I've heard the Hex is also quite a good game. Kind of iffy in the gameplay department sometimes, but apparently it's got the same kind of vibe plot-wise as Inscription, where it's got like not necessarily ARG elements to it, but close to that. That's sort of like weird, that's sort of like creepy meta-narrative stuff that he does. It seems to be a calling card for Daniel Mullins. Looks like it seems like he does that stuff a lot. But Pony Island 2 is a thing. And hell yeah, it looks like he's leaning more into the Inscription side of things, which has me very excited. Because Inscription was one of my favorite games of that year, of the year that it came out. I ended up buying it pretty early on, and I absolutely loved it. And it was before I even got into Magic the Gathering, which is that's the really funny thing. Like, now that I've gotten into MTG, it makes me appreciate the game's origins a lot more. Because the thing about Inscription that really, it's so fascinating. By the way, spoilers for Inscription. Coming up. Wow, that's good. So much for needing passive damage. I got my drones now. The thing about Inscription is that it's all about different ways of playing the same game. So, in Inscription, there are 4 scribes, the scribes of magic. And it's been a while since I've played, so that I might get some of the names wrong. There's the first character we're introduced to, Leshy. There's Magnificus, who looks like a Christmas tree, and he's sort of like a wise wizard type. Wise, very pompous wizard. There's I forget her name. Unfortunately, she isn't explored much, but she's like a Jiangshi, basically. She's like a Chinese hopping zombie. Hopping vampire? I always forget if they're supposed to be vampires or zombies. Let me zoom out the camera a little bit. Yeah, that's what I thought. I need to get to higher ground. I have an idea for how I can deal with the teleporter event. And there's Poe, the robot. And the game opens in Act 1, where the game master is Leshy. And Leshy has a very... what's the word for it? Leshy is very easygoing when it comes to the game balance of his game. He kind of just does what he thinks is fun for both you and him. He doesn't really care that much about balance, and that leads to some very funny situations, like the fact that the final boss of his campaign can be beaten in one turn because he didn't account for the fact that Poisonous also affects the moon. So he puts the moon down, and then you can just instantly play a poisonous creature and instantly destroy it. The second one that we get a earful of is Poe, and Poe has a much stricter view on game balance. That everything has to be perfectly balanced, everything has to work off of each other. Poe has a very self-centered view of what games should be, what their game should be like. And the interplay between their style and Leshy's style is one of the things that makes the game so interesting. The other two, again, we don't get to see too much of the other two, but with Magnificus, the style that he sort of presents is a style of perfectionism at all costs. Everything has to be absolutely perfect, and if you're not perfect, get out of his sight, basically. You get introduced to some of his pupils, which I it's kind of hard to contextualize some of the things, things and some of the characters because of the way that the game is framed. Because at the transitionary periods between the acts, the entire game essentially switches to a new game. Makes it a little bit hard to understand the underlying characters themselves, but it definitely seems like Magnificus horribly abuses his pupils, with the hope that in doing so it will make them better wizards by the end. Well, you know, he didn't account for the mental trauma. And for instance, there's one that's just off in an alternate dimension somewhere, training eternally because Magnificus told them to. And there's another one who is just a pile of ooze. That presumably has been transformed by one of Magnificus's, either one of his rituals or something that the goo wizard did to himself in an attempt to impress Magnificus. And there's one more who's taken on a intense, God knows how long, period of sensory deprivation in an effort to become a better wizard. And you end up finding him, and he immediately, it's like Jack Black in Psychonauts 2, the brain in the jar. You meet him for the first time, and he's just like, oh my god, I can see things, I can hear things. Who are you? What is this? Stimulation. I haven't felt in years. Where's Magnificus? How is he doing? It's great. And the last lady, the Zhangxi, again, unfortunately, we don't see too much of her. There's a fan mod that adds a campaign where you get to do some of the stuff that you would kind of expect her to be able to do. It's not perfect, but it's a very cool rendition. Oh, the pylon's gone. But with the Zhangxi, with what little we see of her, paints her as someone who is extremely rational, almost self-damaging, doing literally whatever, having the capacity to do literally anything because it's morally right or it's the right thing to do in the situation, no matter how damaging it is to the parties involved. And it's really interesting because all four of those kind of archetypes, you see those kind of people in games of Magic the Gathering. You see the people who want to try their best to min-max as much as they possibly can. They're the people who are really easygoing and kind of just play the game for the sake of having fun. You see the people who want to win at all costs and want to be as good of a player as possible, even if it means demeaning others and demeaning themselves. And then there are the people who are coldly rational and will do whatever it takes to win, but in a sense of even if it means giving up everything within their power to the point that it damages themselves or others by proxy, they'll still do it because they're in pursuit of, well, higher truth is a bit much talking about a game of Magic the Gathering, but in pursuit of something for sure. And it's awesome. I love that. But my gassing on about the game aside, it is really good. Very cool mechanics, very cool characters. And I'm excited for Pony Island 2 because it seems like it's going to be a similar sort of vibe. I gotta get out of here. Yep, that's why. Luckily, the Mending Golems cannot heal each other. Or Leeching Golems, rather. Oh, hang on, before I do anything, that's a Topaz Brooch, temporary printer. I will gladly take these. Alright. And now, this probably won't kill them, but it'll definitely do a lot of damage. Oop. Look at that. That is doing a sizable chunk to their health. Oh, I don't have my basic. Oops. I shouldn't have jumped down. Okay, we have time to do another one. This is not doing as much damage as I was hoping it would do. And also, I don't need to fan out as much as I was fanning out. This should be fine. That is doing a good chunk. Okay, I still have pylons. Okay, that was pretty cool. I love Loader for that. That you can get such cool moments like that because of the scrap barrier. Yeah, I may as well lay down another one over here. And I mean, hilariously enough, before Risk of Rain returns, I kind of fell out of love of old Loader and fell in love with new Loader. But I'm starting to realize that, I mean, both of them are really fun. Loader is just my favorite character overall. But back to the Game Awards. I know I realize I do this a lot. I'm like Socrates, that I tell this long-winded story that goes on for like 10 minutes only to pause and then go, okay, back to what I was saying before, and I just like going through recursively and answering all of the things that I was talking about. Back to the Game Awards. Something else that came up that had me unbelievably excited, and you probably saw you might have seen my post about it. World of Goo 2. I'm not gonna do it right now, but I was literally screaming and sobbing when I saw that was announced. And it was really funny. I was talking to my friends about the Game Awards after the fact, and one of them mentioned that someone else who was watching, they were watching with them, looked at the award, looked at the trailer and basically went, "Okay, that's cool, but who cares?" And it makes me realize I was going to go off for a second, like, how dare you? And then I realized the game is 15 years old. That's honestly a fair reaction, because yeah, World of Goo is 15 years old. That is insane. But I know those devs, and those devs are reliable. The game they churn out in the end may not be perfect, but God knows it's going to have their style, and it's going to have... I know it's a cheap thing to say it's going to have heart. It genuinely will. I love all of Tomorrow Corporation's projects. I almost said products. I love all of their products. I love Tomorrow Corporation. But I love all of their projects because they have such spirit to them. They know exactly the kind of games that they want to make, and sales be damned, they are going to make those kinds of games. And I respect the hell out of that. I want to try and get a map-wide pylon. If the ability doesn't get locked, I fear it might. Also, I thought I had Artifact of Sacrifice turned off. What's with all the drones? And... oh, come on. Well, that pylon isn't going anywhere, so I can just wait until it's back off cooldown. But World of Goo 1 is my favorite puzzle game of all time, and I don't think anything comes close. The way that it blends together story and gameplay is just... it's so fucking good. Like, if you've never played it, play it. I know it's old, and I know the argument of, oh, the graphics are bad, it's a bad game, doesn't really hold water anymore, and it hasn't held water for decades. But, like, just play it. I know it's an old game, I know it might not, it might be a little hard to run sometimes because it's an old game, but I cannot recommend it enough. It's so good. And hell, play the rest of their games too. Little Inferno is also very good. Very good story-based. I don't even know what kind of a game to call it. It's very odd. It's a very odd case. Because all of their games have kind of like an anti-capitalist vibe to them, which I don't fully vibe with, but I appreciate it when it's done properly. And oh boy, do they do it properly. Because the whole point of Little Inferno is that this panic mines... I gotta zoom in the camera so I can actually see this. Yeah. Seems good enough. But the whole point of Little Inferno is just, you have a catalog. The catalog is full of items. You take the items, you burn them, you get money, and you use that money to buy more things to burn, and the cycle continues. And, like... these developers are really, really good at taking gameplay and meshing it together with story. Like with World of Goo as well. World of Goo is a very strong environmental message about, like, oh, if you take the Earth for its materials and nothing else, you're going to completely destroy it. And yes, you'll advance technology so much, but you're also going to be destroying all the beauty of nature in the process. And the way that the game demonstrates that through its gameplay is masterfully done. And I won't say too much on the subject because I did just recommend that you play the game. I don't want to spoil a game that I just said that you should go out and play. But it's so good. Easily one of my favorite games of all time, and they're making another one. So I am unbelievably excited to see where that goes. What else was there? There was a lot. There was Light No Fire, which is a new game by Hello Games, the developers of No Man's Sky, which has me very intrigued. I didn't really jive with No Man's Sky even before the whole debacle happened. I didn't really jive with No Man's Sky then, and I still don't really jive with it now, but I have to respect that it looks stunning. Just based off of the gameplay in the trailer, it looks so good. It just looks really, really clean. And realistic is a scary word to use when you're talking about games, but it genuinely does look very cool and realist and, like, stylized realism. What else was there? There's a new game from the developers of Untitled Goose Game called, what is it? Long Walk, I think? It's something walk. You play as little, like, drinky birds, and you walk around in this huge 3D modeled world. It doesn't look quite as good. It doesn't look quite as cool when propped up against the light no fire, but it still looks really nice. I feel like it's going to be a very good, chill game to play with friends. Because you kind of just, it's sort of like a Yumaniki kind of thing. You kind of just walk around and see the sights, take in the environments, try not to die to bears, all the normal Yumaniki things. Maybe that analogy does kind of fall apart after a certain point. Also, this is hell. There we go. Okay, please don't lock my pylons. Thank you. I kind of need to set up another pylon trap. I'll start, like, over here or so. That should be good. I am just wandering around. Wonderful weather we're having while this massive horde is closing in on me. Hello. Oh, pesticide is huge here. I know it's insecticide, but whatever. And I guess we just hit it and see what happens. Okay. So now we have the horde following us. We can prop it up and then go back down, just in case the pylon gets taken away from me. Okay. Keep following me, guys. I won't kill you, I swear. I'm here to do some tax paperwork for you. Okay. This is terrifying, but at least they can't heal each other. Okay. I just need to not panic. Okay, my pylons are disabled. It might be time to panic. But at least now they're in punching range. Okay. Oh, that's huge here. Thank you. I will gladly take some free items. Oh god, right. I almost just died there because, fun fact, while your mouse 1 is charging, you cannot use your mouse 2. I forgot that was a thing. Okay. Oh god, oh god, scrap. The debris shield is locked. That's a problem. Okay. Come down here, please. Somehow I'm alive. Thank you, Leeching Seed. Thank you, my entire build, for carrying me. Good lord. Okay, I gotta get a move on. Whether I have half a build or not, the time is very scary here. Okay. These guys are problematic. But I will pull through. Something else that happened at the Game Awards that I thought was really funny was that Starfield was nominated for Best RPG. Now, I don't necessarily consider myself to be a Bethesda hater. It's a similar kind of bag as Gearbox that, like, some people really like Gearbox. I am just not one of those people. And I know that's rich coming from someone who's playing Risk of Rain Returns, but I played this game before Hopu was acquired by Gearbox. Or before Hopu's Risk of Rain rights were acquired. I think Hopu is still making games of their own accord. But it's the rest of this series specifically that got acquired. I think I played this once. I'll take it. That is 6. That is 4 scarves. Almost said 6. If nothing else, these enemies are easy to run away from. But I don't consider myself to be a Bethesda hater, but Starfield had no business being nominated for anything at that Game Awards. That game was just... everything that I've seen about it, it just does not seem like a very good game. It has the Starbound problem, where... like, I know people like to bring up this issue now because, ChatGPT and AI has kind of brought these sort of issues to the forefront. But Starbound sort of showed us this problem years ago, that planetary exploration games don't work if the only work that you're doing is making algorithms that make planets for you. Like, that's the lesson that Starbound taught us all those years ago, and Bethesda is now learning it for the first time. Because, as it turns out, the game is just not very interesting. Like, there are interesting designs here and there, but like No Man's Sky was at launch, it just feels empty, despite having an infinite universe to play in. There's a certain human element, but beyond that, there's just a certain level of finesse that you just can't get by plugging numbers into an algorithm and watching it go. Things like incidental dialogue, unique quest lines that would only really fit into that specific planet or that specific type of planet. Starbound does a decent job at this, but even with all the improvements made by Fracking Universe, sometimes the worlds do just feel hollow. It is unbelievably difficult to do that kind of tightrope walk correctly, and No Man's Sky has been doing a bang-up job at trying, but again, those same problems are still lurking in the background. Yes, more. Okay, I'm putting it off. I may as well start this execution. Frenzied. Let me check something. Okay, awesome. We're doing this again. I need to get far enough away that the frenzied enemies won't teleport to me. This should be good. That bar moving means I'm making progress. But I don't have my basic attack right now. So that makes this kind of troubling. But if I just loop around and do that same process again, I should be fine. I just hope... Again, I have to hope the pylon doesn't get locked, because otherwise I'm gonna have to change my strategy. Come on, come on. I can make it in time. Okay, Gauntlet got locked, but I do get access to my attack again. And something else that comes to mind that got announced pretty recently, irrespective of the Game Awards, was Undertale Yellow is apparently out now. And I will say, I've never really been one for Undertale fan games. I don't really know why, but I just, like, the vibe has always sort of not really clicked with me. But I will admit, it seems like this has been in the oven for a long time, and I congratulate the developers on pulling through and making what is basically a full-on game. Like, this is no ordinary fan game. It's one of those multi-year labor of love kind of deals. And massive props to the developers for making something of that sort of a scale. Because that shit ain't easy. Oh, that hurt. Okay. But I mean, Undertale fan games for a second. This is a problem that I have with fan games in general. That it's like there's a sort of nuance to fan games that is always kind of lacking, because there's always that sense of like, oh, if I made this game, this is how I would do it. There's that, like, I don't know the best way to describe it, but it's like a sort of almost personal attachment to the product. It's the same kind of vibe that Yick has, honestly, of like, there's a sort of, I don't want to say lack of professionalism, because that's stupid. Games can be games without being super formal, but like, there's a sense of self-knowledge that always kind of like detracts from the product. Of like, yeah, I know what I am. I'm a Five Nights at Freddy's fan game. I'm an Undertale fan game. Like, if you were supposing that the original product didn't exist and this tried to stand on its own two legs, it wouldn't be able to. And that's the thing that has me kind of excited about something like Undertale Yellow, because I get the longer that it's in the oven and the longer that it's allowed to breathe and add new content with its own sort of voice, the better it ends up being. Because it no longer has to ride the coattails of the product or the game series that it's trying to emulate. It can just do its own thing. And that's what I feel something like Yik is lacking. Because Yik is so determined to be like the games of the developer's childhood. It's so determined to be like Chrono Trigger and to be like Earthbound and to be like Persona. That anytime that it tries to do something, you can't help but, or at least I can't help but think, that it's derivative. And it's not really doing anything that other games haven't done before. And that's kind of the issue, is that that's kind of the point of it. Is that it's meant to be derivative. And it's meant to be doing all these things. But would it be a better product if it stood on its own 2 feet? I think so. Also, ain't no way in hell I'm beating Providence with this build. Just saying. I will try my best, but I make 0 promises, because damn, this is a kind of a weak build. I'll go through the normal procedures and like buy the Gauss cannon and all that, but this build's rough. Oh, come on. I would love a rapid mitosis right now. That would make this actually kind of doable. And I mean, it's, look, I'm Loader. I have a move that makes me invincible for several seconds. I'm probably fine. And I mean, that's also kind of my issue with Lisa fan games, to a certain extent, because it always has that sort of vibe of like, oh, what if I made Lisa? What would I make it like? And again, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I just don't really jive with it. If I were to make a game, I would want it to be wholly original. Or at least to try and do things that are completely... I don't know. It all just boils down to my own personal preference. But again, this is high quality enough that I'm willing to put those qualms aside. And I'll have to wait to see how, I suppose, fan feedback is, but I might actually want to play that one. I might actually want to play Undertale Yellow for myself. Or maybe record it. Because I did quite enjoy Undertale. I already quite enjoy Deltarune. I'm excited for chapters 3, 4, 5. Again, I'm definitely streaming them when they come out. Okay, time, no. Yes. Toxin is great here. Repulsion armor, interesting. I don't know if I'm going to survive 6 attacks, but on the off chance that I do, that's pretty good. What the hell did I just find? I've never seen this kind of drone before. This must be a rare one. Let's see if I can get up to 10k. Because look, I'm getting two-shot by Providence basically no matter what I do, so I'm fine with just running out the clock a little bit and getting some money. If I can get a Brilliant Behemoth or a Rapid Mitosis from this, I have a chance of actually beating Providence, but with the current build, I don't like my odds. Old box. I don't know how that works on Providence. Thankfully, Archaic Wisps are not the best at hitting things above them. Alright, let's go Providence. Square up. Oh, come on. My Z is locked, so that's kind of a problem. I probably should have tried to make some pocket change so that I could repair the drones if I need to. That is the main way I'm doing damage right now. So long as I keep him safe, I think I'm fine, but I don't know. Still a little bit sketchy. God, it's so hard. It's so hard to approach him. Okay. One more hit ought to do it. Okay, the worms are a problem, because if I'm not careful, they will shred my drones, and then I have no way to deal damage in the latter half of the fight without getting really close. Uh-oh. I have pylons, thankfully. Come on. Follow me, please. Follow me. Do your drones regen? Am I going crazy? Or do they just flash red when they take damage? Oh god. Okay, the other one's down. Nice. Right off the bat, deal with these guys. I get baited by that every time. God, these attacks are very cool. Awesome. Time for phase 3. This is the part where my drones die. If I can, I want to try to keep them alive. Because again, they're my main source of damage right now. Great, that's right next to the Gauss Cannon. Oh, and my... Okay, thank God. My debris cannon was locked. Oh, bad, 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 bad. Get away from there. 2 drones are down. I think I have the money to repair them. I can't tell from here. Good enough. I have enough to repair 1. Shit! God, that Gauss cannon does not do a lot. This is a really bad place to be. If he does the... No, no, no. Okay, both of them are low. Gotta say, not having my primary is pretty bad right now. I think we got it. Heal him with Bungus on his ass. Let's go. Oh my god. That was a very close run. I like that. Woo. I think that's my first my first victory with Loader in returns. Pardon me. No, never mind. I have seen this before. Because I remember I was wondering, because Loader uses he, him in Risk of Rain 1 and she, her in Risk of Rain 2, so I was wondering which one they were gonna go with. They go with he, him. They go with what they said in Risk of Rain 1. But let's go. That run was awesome. Very high stakes, and I also just beat the game on Monsoon, which is a victory in its own right. But yeah, that was great. That's all I got for now. Thanks so much for watching.